I've tackled a few different water-based animations in my time, but in today's video I'm going to be animating a river in 10 seconds, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 1 hour, and 10 hours. As I'm sure some of you know, I've been working on a game recently and I want to include a river level, so hopefully I can use the 10-hour animation in that. But let's get started with... Alright. I've already set up the layers here because I don't want to be messing around with making a new layer when I only have 10 seconds. Yeah, I have a plan, but you'll see. So my 10 seconds starts now. You just draw a big blue rectangle for the base, then on the new layer, make it a bit lighter, draw some squiggles, and just do that for a few frames, and hopefully it looks like something. Okay, that is time. I did undo the last blank frame, but let's have a look. Alright, that's a flowing river. I think that gets the idea across. The very first frame is a little weird with the crossing over. Well, let's move on to 1 minute. I am gonna do pretty much the same thing, but nicer looking. Maybe I could do a background, a bit of grass. Alright, let's start the timer right now. Okay, I'm just gonna draw this rectangle, do some kind of white ripples. That was pretty bad. Try and be a little more specific. Actually have them moving. Use a bit of onion skin. Sure. It's not gonna be like precise, but I'm just gonna have some ripples rippling along. I might do like a bit of dark ones as well. Do another layer. Okay, I'm not doing a background. I have 3 seconds left. I have to just quickly... Okay. It's probably not the best approach. Let's see what we've got. Okay, that looks a bit better, just more detailed. It's quite a rapid river. I don't want it to be quite that extreme, but I think this is a good bit of progress. I think I can do a background for the next one. So let's move on to 10 minutes. Okay, this should be interesting. I'm gonna start my 10 minutes right now. So we start off with a blue rectangle. As always. Actually, I'm gonna make this bigger and more down. So I wanna do a bit of like grass and rocks. Kinda wanna set the stage. What is the angle I'm even going for? So I guess we'll see the sky. I wanna spend like the whole time on the background. It's okay, we have so many minutes. So I'm gonna start doing the white like stream thing. Make it a bit more subtle. So I'm trying to move them more slowly this time. If you can see, I'm just moving these lines to the left a little bit. And they're kind of like changing shape. Have new ones come in. So what I should do is actually get the first frame and lead back into that. Then we can have a nice loop. The frame before doesn't really go that nicely with it, but that'll do. I'm gonna draw some rocks. All right, it's gonna separate the background from the water. Just do some of this, some of that. Oh yeah, I also want to do a rock on the river itself. Just kind of poking out. Another one over here. A big foreground one. All right, then we have like white streams kind of flowing off of these. We have the ripples going like this. Approaching halfway. I think this is fine. So I'll just do a few frames of that. This is kind of just random. I'm not like making the ripples move in a physically accurate sense, but hopefully it just looks like it's moving. So the outer ones are kind of disappearing and the new ones are coming in very roughly. I'll try to have it somewhat linked back to the first frame. Okay, that probably will do. I want to do some little dark splotches as well. Don't really know how that's going to work. So these ones are kind of not flowing as far and they just like disappear and regenerate. I'm kind of just working with a theory that that's what should happen. Doing some in-betweens. I've only got 2 minutes, so it should loop back to normal at that point. Maybe I should make them move further. Take this frame, move it a lot, move it more, move it a little bit. I should do a little bit of more foliage in the background, since I've kind of committed to that. Do a couple of shrubs. That's good enough. I only have 11 seconds, what is happening? Okay, I guess this is what I'm dealing with. Time is up, so let's have a watch. Well, this is a more complete scene. I think the dark blue patches did not work out as intended. I mean, at least it makes it look more lively. Yeah, I like the idea of this one. Just not executed to its full potential. Yeah, certainly looks like a river though, so not terrible. But let's move on to 1 hour. I first laid the foundations by putting in a big block of grass, some water, and a sky. Then I drew a bunch of rocks along the side of the river. It's essentially the same as last time, so I scattered some rocks inside the river as well. Now for the water rushing around the rocks. I made a wavy foam loop on each one, having these blobs move right to left with a pretty freeform overall shape. I did an individual animation for each rock, so it fits the size and gives more variety. Then some ripply white lines coming off of each one. They are vaguely moving left, but it's loose and rough. After the first one, I pretty much went full random. After that was done, I went and did those big lines moving across the whole river. They're gonna move more methodically and hopefully lead into a nice loop. They don't go through massive changes from one frame to the next, but occasionally break up and change size. Now for some chunkier dark lines. These ones move a bit faster than the white ones. I don't think that was a conscious choice, but it adds some chaos to the mix. Then I started filling out the background. I first added some lighting to all the rocks, then faded the grass into the distance with a gradient. I drew a row of trees and copied that into a few layers with increasing blue tints, nice and atmospheric. I also planted a lot of bushes. Now for some highlights on the river that stay in place but jiggle around. At the end I tried to do some reflections, just very scribbly bits of rock and grass. I made a 4-frame loop of that and made it quite transparent and blurry. Not sure it was worth doing, but you'll see. Well, I'd say that's definitely an upgrade. Still leaves a bit to be desired, but we're getting somewhere. The waves coming off the rocks could do with some more care put into them. Kind of just jittery short loops. Yeah, the background's quite splotchy and scribbly. As a whole, doesn't look bad, but could do with improvements. So let's go on to 10 hours and see what I can muster up. I squashed the water further down this time since it's supposed to be for a side-scrolling game. Then I drew some more visually appealing rocks. For the foam rushing around the rocks, I took some circles and animated them moving in arcs. I can use that to draw a big squiggly shape that bulges out where the circles are. So hopefully it'll have this smooth motion. I made these streams that come out of the foam and animated each one specifically to slide away and regenerate in a loop. Now to replace that other animation. You could probably get away with copy pasting, but this makes sure it fits neatly to the shape and again gives more variety. And the same situation for the third rock. Then I animated some big streams around the rocks, kind of like a horseshoe, with an extra bit on the side. Next I went to animate big squiggly shapes moving across the water. But I want this thing to be tileable, so I duplicated the river to make sure things wrap around smoothly. I also tweened a circle here for reference. Then animated that squiggly wave at a consistent speed. I put a few copies of that in the foreground and animated a different one at the back. Then I added a thick brush around those shapes. I also made more of those big streamlines that I've been doing previously. It was around now that I felt like the whole thing was too fast. So I went through every single animation and doubled the amount of frames with new in-betweens. After over an hour of that, I animated little bubbles coming off the end of the rocks. Then I animated some dark blobs that stay in place but wobble and break apart. I also made some blobs that move across the screen in both transparent black and white. Next I animated these white shine lines. Then I had some small bits flying off the foam. I started blocking out the background by lining the river with more rocks, then placeholder grass and trees. It was important to have a parallax scrolling background, so I tested it out with a camera. The river has to be one layer or it gets complicated. Then the different layers moving back will move slower. Now, I thought it'd be interesting to have a fish that jumps out periodically. I used a circle reference, then sketched it out. I wanted it to just look chopped, so I had this design and started animating the fish. Once the sketch was down, I went over it with clean lines, then animated a splash when it leaves and enters the water. I finished off the details on the fish and gave it a punchy orange with a shiny eyeball. Then I enhanced the splash with shading and highlights. I also added some white spray on the way out. With all that done, I populated the scene and moved over to Photoshop for the background. So I drew a couple of different trees, sets of rocks and bushes, also a sky and hills. I can use these elements to make the river go as long as I want without a repeating pattern. So I placed everything in Adobe Animate, using some different sizes and skewing to add variety, with things fading out in the back. Then I animated some more foam spray along the side of the river. Like with the rocks, but this one's longer. I think it's fine to clone. I just offset the starting frame of each one randomly so it's not a perfectly repeating pattern. The background was still a bit boring, so I drew more trees and a new bush. Lastly, I thickened the foam, put a gradient in the water, and added some overall color enhancements. Okay, the camera movement's a bit choppy, but that's because the rest of the animation is 15 FPS, so in Animate the camera just also had to be. But that won't be the case in the game. But how do I feel about this whole animation? I think it looks very nice. For the last few hours I didn't actually see the animation in full until I was done, because I had so much going on in the scene that Animate would crash every time I tried to test the movie, and it wasn't quite playing at full frame rate in the timeline, so I had to export it as an image sequence, which I didn't do until the end. But yeah, it turned out pretty good. I think the fish ended up faster than I wanted it to. Maybe I'll adjust that, I don't know. It won't quite look like this in the game, but yeah, I think that went relatively well. So that was my progression of river animations. You should be seeing the last one in the game I'm making. Definitely with at least minor changes. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. I'll see you next time, and goodbye.